All right, so again, I'm videotaping these so that if you're absent, you can go ahead, click on it, or sometimes like if you were just distracted or not having a good day in class, you can rewatch them. It's awkward, like when I look at them, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you have to look at me on the video, it's just kind of weird, like a lot different than you looking at me live. But I've gotten used to it. I think it's a good thing. I've had a lot of people say, wow, it really has helped. If you choose not to watch them, do I know? Not really, but it's gonna just hurt you in the long run, because we get a lot more in depth in the video, like in class, than we do just like, okay, I fill in 3 note slides, got it, right? We'll give a lot of examples, we'll have discussions, and things will be a lot more in depth, okay? So please watch the video notes. If you are absent, you can also turn on like the captioning, so you don't even have to use headphones if you don't want to. Whatever works best for you. You can either listen with headphones or you can do the closed captioning or whatever you like. So, scientific method. I'm assuming that you guys picked up on that was going to be our unit after you looked at the vocab and started looking at the materials that I just gave you. So, the scientific method is not brand new, right? This is something that you've had since elementary. On the notes, if you look on the side, it says like slide number 2, number 3. That kind of matches obviously with the slide. Every once in a while, there'll be a couple slides maybe that you don't have, and so it like goes from like 5 to 9 or something, or 5 to 7. That's fine. It's just things that were on here that you didn't need. Sometimes extra pictures or extra video links or something like that. Okay. So how do we find out about things? How do we even know like everything that we know? Well, one way is by doing an experiment, right? So that's what science is a lot, right? You have labs, you have experiments, but that is not the only way, all right? There is another way, but they call it a controlled experiment, but what they use during an experiment is the scientific method, right? And so we'll get into those details throughout the rest of this unit. So this is the definition. Yes?
I can't see the words.
You can't see the
No,
word?
that can't see the
I
words.
can't see it. Jeez Louise.
Thank you.
You're like my producer, my video editor. Okay, so a multi-step organized process used to find questions and answers to the world around us. So sometimes the scientific method is very scientific, like scientists are trying to find out, about how a certain process works. Scientific method can also be used for something in our daily life. Like it can help me decide what I'm gonna wear for the day, right? Will we have to follow all the steps? No. But in general, it is a process that just helps us figure something out. So it's not super fancy. It doesn't have to be like scary and intimidating. It's just something that's very easygoing, right? And you can use it for a lot of different things. So like I said, not even just for science, but in your daily life. So usually when I'm trying to decide what to wear, I'm like, okay, so what's going on for me today? So I ask the question, what do I have to do today? Well, if it's a school day, then I'm like, okay, well, I need to go to school. So I need to have, besides pajama day, I need to dress, like in nice clothes. Then I think, okay, what's the weather going to be like? Certain shoes I don't like to wear out in the snow or the rain because they're like fuzzy or whatever. So I'm like, I don't want to wear those if it's going to rain, or if it's going to be cold, or if it's going to be hot. So I try to do a little research. I figure out what the weather's going to be like. And then from there, I help me kind of determine. Then the other thing I think of, am I going home right after school, or do I have to go get groceries? If I have to go get groceries, I want to make sure I have extra comfortable shoes on all day long. Because if I wear uncomfortable shoes and I'm uncomfortable all day, and then I have to go spend another hour at the grocery store walking. So I try to have a little bit of thought, not just rip things off the shelf in the closet and throw them on, right? So I can use the process of the scientific method to actually help me do that. I've asked a question, I have done a little research. Now, am I actually testing things out? Well, maybe throughout the day I'm like, ooh, these shoes are not as comfortable as I thought they are. They're gonna go to my not as comfortable shoe category, so I remember that for the future. So some of these steps, as we're going through them, kind of think about how could you use them in your daily life to help you answer a question or to solve some kind of problem, right? So it doesn't always just have to be straight, oh, it's science, I have to use it just for science. Sometimes it can be more kind of applicable to real things, okay? So when we're talking the scientific method, like for science purposes, Scientists are the ones that are actively involved in making the whole situation. They're designing it, they're implementing it, they are running the tests, they are gathering the data, they're involved in all of it. Okay? They are planning it. And that's probably what you're most like, it's like a lab, right? It's what you're most familiar with. So they're doing the setup. And again, stop me if I'm going too fast. We'll kind of get into a rhythm where I know like your pace and things like that. But stop me if I need to go back or if you miss something. But it's the scientists that are making the changes. They are involved. They are making it happen. Okay, and we call this a controlled experiment or just an experiment. Okay, they are managing the entire thing. Okay. There's another way that people can find out about things, and this is through a field investigation. This is basically just going out in nature and observing things and collecting data. Okay, so it's different because the scientist is only an observer. They are not designing it, they're not setting it up, they're not implementing it. They are just there to observe. So it's like going out into nature and seeing what's going on, taking notes, making observations. They're not having involvement. They're not trying to influence what they're seeing or hearing. They're making no changes. They are just there to watch. Okay? They're not there to interfere. So this would be more like if you're trying to figure out something maybe like in an ecosystem, or maybe you're making observations of the type of birds that come into your backyard, right? You're not trying to actively influence the birds. You're just trying to see what naturally comes there. So this is much more passive and laid back. The controlled experiment is much more involved. Let's go ahead. We will stop there. We will start tomorrow with our first real song.